What's good, y'all? It's your boy FRO Thizzle, and I'm back. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. The first movie I watched in February was called Going in Style, starring Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was funny as hell, laughed throughout, thought it was a heartfelt joint. Not an incredible or phenomenal or sophisticated story, but it was a fun watch. I'm gonna give Going in Style a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie way more than I should have. Hostel Part 3. I didn't love this film, but I didn't hate it either. Didn't care for the characters. The gore's nice, but it's not throughout. It's not start to finish. It pops up, but when it does, it's pretty decent. Nothing incredible or memorable. I did enjoy the atmosphere and the way it looked, the grimy setting, but overall, just thought it was a mediocre watch. Hostel Part 3 gets a 5.5 out of 10 from me. Yo, this joint right here, No Escape, starring Owen Wilson, Pierce Brosnan, and Lake Bell. I love this movie. I thought it was dope. I thought it was intense, well made, great performances from the cast. Owen Wilson does a great job. Lake Bell does a great job. But Pierce Brosnan, to me, steals the show. He's just having a blast. No Escape gets a 9 out of 10 from me. I really enjoyed this movie. I highly recommend it. This one's a weird one. We're going to go a little left field. The Boss Baby. I surprised myself with this one. I thought it was funny and I laughed my ass off at certain parts. But there was some weird choices that I wasn't feeling. There was some innuendo with the baby, and some of the dialogue was really weird and suggestive. I was like, yo, just how they did it. I was like, yo, this is weird. I don't know if I'm rocking with certain choices. But overall, I did laugh. I laughed a lot. The Boss Baby gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me, and would have gotten a little bit higher if it wasn't for the very weird choices. The 2019 film, Bliss. I was recommended this one from a couple of message boards. They were like, yo, Fro, I know you're a gore guy. You like your blood and guts in your movies. And they recommended Bliss. So I was like, I'll check it out and see what it's about. I didn't love this film as much as I wanted to. I thought the cinematography wasn't great, in my opinion. I was like, yo, there's nobody really likable in this film. Maybe that's what the director was going for, but it didn't work for me. Everybody's pretty much a scumbag. But the main performance from Dora Madison is great. She does a great job. And I thought the story was pretty good. It's about a painter. She loses her inspiration. So she sniffs this crazy ass fucking cocaine or this crazy drug that makes her bloodthirsty and makes her fuck all over the town, makes her go crazy. So the story's good. The gore was phenomenal. The gore was like a 9 out of 10 on the gore scale. Hats off to the people who did the practical effects in this film because they were awesome. But overall, Bliss gets a 5.5 out of 10 for me. Didn't love it like I wanted to. Slaxx. This film is fucking ridiculous. It's about a haunted pair of killing genes that goes around killing all the employees in the store. Is this film great? No, but it's not bad or terrible at all. There's actually some really cool moments, and I like the camera trickery that they use with the pair of jeans. At certain moments, I was like, that's actually really cool how they did that. Like, what the fuck? For the most part, I don't give a fuck about the characters, but the main chick, she was sweet. You care for her. And then the homegirl helping her, I believe Shiva was her name. She was dope. Those were the only two characters I could think of that I actually gave a fuck about. And surprisingly, the death scenes are pretty decent. Like, there's 1 or 2 death scenes that are dope. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I liking this? You know what you're in for when you read the plot. It's fucking ridiculous. But I somewhat enjoyed this fucking movie. I can't believe it. Slaxx gets a 6.5 out of 10 for me. Even that's low, but that's higher than I expected it to be. VFW. This one's directed by Joe Bagos, the same guy who directed Bliss earlier. While I didn't love Bliss, I fucking loved VFW. This movie is fucking awesome. Starring veteran actors Stephen Lang, Fred Williamson, William Sadler. They're all killing it in this one. Just having a blast, having fun. The action scenes are dope. I fuck with the cinematography and how it was filmed. I fucking hate shaky cam. And there were one or two little parts of it in this film where I was like, but the positives outweigh the negative in this one for me. The gore is awesome. I would rate the gore like an 8 out of 10. I can say it a bunch of times, but I really love this movie. And I would recommend it. I think you would fuck with it. VFW gets a 9 out of 10 for me. The Tragedy of Macbeth. I've been meaning to see this one since last December, but a bunch of movies have gotten in the way since then. I'm here and there just catching movie here. So I had a big anticipation for this film. Before we proceed with Macbeth, I was never a big Shakespeare guy. I'm not a fan of the dialogue and the way it's delivered. It just always felt unnatural to me. And that's no diss to anybody that loves Shakespeare. I totally understand why you would. I was just never personally a big Shakespeare guy, especially in the movies. Having said that, Tragedy of Macbeth is a great movie. When the actors deliver the dialogue in this film, it feels natural. I'm like, okay, I'm on board. I totally get it. The cinematography is phenomenal. It's A grade. Incredible to look at. Like, phenomenal camera work. The acting is awesome. Frances McDormand is great. Catherine Hunter is awesome in this fucking movie. The way that she worked her voice in this film, her contortion movements, A grade. Like, she's arguably the best performance, but we got the greatest actor of all time in this film, Denzel Washington, playing Lord Macbeth. And yo, what else do I gotta say, man? Denzel bodied this movie, and I don't give a fuck what anybody else has to say about it. Respectfully, Denzel bodied this fucking movie. Awesome performances all around. My only big complaint with the film was that it dragged a bit. It was pretty slow at times. I found myself being like, let's wrap it up a little bit. Come on, guys. But when it picked back up, I was like, all right, we're back in business. Overall, The Tragedy of Macbeth gets an 8.5 out of 10 for me. And would have been a little bit higher if it just wasn't so slow in certain parts. Yummy. This one is a Belgian zombie film that I got to see on Shudder. And from the preview, it looked pretty decent. I didn't love this film, but I didn't hate it. There's nearly no likable characters in this film, except like one. You kind of feel sorry for the main guy in the movie, but he's a weasel, so you're like, damn, there's like nobody you really root for in this film. But the gore is nice when it pops up. The one great performance to me in this film was the bad guy, was the junkie. He did a great job because he plays a scumbag in the film and you hate him. You're like, yo, die in the movie already. But he's a scumbag, so you're like, oh, that's what the actor was going for. So he was a great performance. Overall, Yummy gets a 6 out of 10 for me. This one is tricky. Cannibal Holocaust. Is this an enjoyable film? Not at fucking all. This isn't a film that you enjoy. Is it well made? I'm half and half on it. Some of the violence and some of the crazier things, I'm like, okay, that's pretty hardcore. I was like, damn, but do I recommend this film though? In a strange way, I do. I think Cannibal Holocaust is a film that every movie nerd should see at least once in their life. You know, it's a rough one. It's a pretty rough one. Cannibal Holocaust gets a 5 out of 10 for me. Piranha, the 1978 original film. It's not incredible, nothing phenomenal, but it's a fun watch. I do like some of the underwater shots of how they did the piranhas, attacking the prey. I did like some of the camera work, and I thought it was pretty cool. It is a funny movie. Some of the characters are pretty sleazy, and you're laughing at how, it's the 70s, so it's not super, super gory or anything, but it's a fun watch. Piranha 1978 gets a 7 out of 10 for me. The 2011 film, The Woman, starring Pollyanna McIntosh. This is a fucked up watch. It's a dark one. But I did enjoy it. I thought the acting was great, especially from Pollyanna playing the woman. The father did a great job playing the scumbag. Lauren Ashley Carter does a great job playing the daughter. The writing and the acting was a little wonky here and there from some of the supporting characters. And I felt like 10 minutes could have been cut out of this film. I was surprised with the gore. It's not start to finish, but when it showed up, I was like, yo, this is pretty gory. I was like, okay. Gore was great, but I give The Woman a 7 out of 10. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Now, before I go any further, I'm aware that the whole entire planet hates this fucking movie. When this came out and I saw it and I went on Twitter, everybody tore this fucking movie apart. I'm one of the very few people, maybe me and 5 other people on this planet, that actually enjoyed this movie. Having said that, I do have a lot of complaints. I'll start with those. First and foremost, the writing is terrible. It's not great. It's not good. The characters are unlikable. You want them all to get chopped the fuck up by a Leatherface almost immediately. And I don't like how they handled Sally, the original survivor from the first film. I thought they could have did that way better. But there were cool moments I enjoyed out of it. But I did enjoy this film. I thought the kills were awesome and brutal, bloody, gory, probably the most goriest film of the franchise. If you are looking for that in this film, you will love it. If you're looking for what the original brought, the true creepiness and the unsettling feeling, you're not gonna like this movie for the story. You're gonna hate this movie. But if you just want a great time, some popcorn, some gore, some blood and guts, and just Leatherface chopping people up that you don't give a fuck about, this is a great movie. You know, I'm on that side of the fence. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me. Jackass Forever. I got to catch this one in theaters, and I was surprised with how graphic it was. Like, pause, but they literally had dick and balls through the whole motherfucking movie from start to finish. I was like, these motherfuckers are crazy, yo. They went all out on the last one. In the middle, I felt that it lost its steam a little bit, but it picked back up near the end. Jackass Forever gets a 7.5 out of 10 for me. It is now nighttime. Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight, Part 2. I saw the first one when it came out a couple years ago, and I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was incredible or anything like that, but I thought it was funny. The dark humor was cool. The gore was really nice. I thought the blood and guts were dope and done well. So when I saw the second one, I was like, okay, it's pretty much, I know what I'm in for. This one is even more weird than the first one. Case in point, there's a sex scene between two monsters that's filmed like a Titanic sex scene. So it's weird because the cinematography is so great, but you're watching two monsters get it on, and you're like, yeah, very odd film. I'm going to give Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight Part 2 a 6 out of 10. The Girl Next Door, the 2007 film, starring Blythe Afarth, I hope I'm saying that right, and Blanche Baker. This film is based on the real story of Sylvia Likens. She was brutally tortured by her caregiver and about 8 or 7 of her sons. Crazy shit. I saw American Crime years ago, and that film's based around this same story. The difference is Girl Next Door has fictionalized characters that's based on the Sylvia story. This one is darker than an American Crime, and that's saying something. This one is more graphic. Awesome performance by Blythe Afarth, playing Meg in the lead character role. But the best performance in this film is Blanche Baker, who plays one of the most coldest, most evil bitches I have ever seen in a movie ever. Catherine Keener did a great job in An American Crime. But yo, Blanche Baker, I'm like, yo, you want to strangle this woman so much in this film while you watch it. I feel that the acting was a little bit wonky at times, and it felt a little bit weird, but not too distracting. And I think the director kind of did that on purpose, because the look of this film is a 60s, 70s type of film. The look of it. And the feeling too, the vibe and the way that the actors are doing it. I think it was a known decision on the director. I'm going to give The Girl Next Door an 8 out of 10. Think it's a well-made film, very fucked up, but a necessary watch. Small Town Crime, starring John Hawkes and Anthony Anderson. Simple crime film, but I loved it. I thought it was dope. John Hawkes can do no wrong, kills the main role, does a great job. This movie was a little more funnier than I thought it would be though. It's not a comedy at all, but there are parts that I was laughing. I was like, okay, that was pretty funny. I highly recommend this one. It's a short watch. It's an hour and 30. It'll fly by, but I thought this one was dope. I'm gonna give Small Town Crime a 9 out of 10. 1922, starring Thomas Jane. I found myself a little bit underwhelmed with this one, but I still enjoyed it, and I think there's dope things about this movie. Thomas Jane's performance teeter-totters from awesome and great to pretty cartoonish, and with the accent, with the southern drawl, you know, it's a little cartoonish at times, but I would say 80% of the time, Thomas Jane does a great job in this film. Molly Parker does a great job playing the unlikable wife that's really naggy and gets on Thomas Jane's character's nerves. It's not super violent or super gory, but when it does pop up, you're like, okay, this was handled pretty crazy, all right. And I do like how the ghosts look. Very bloody, very disturbing, very all fucked up. I did enjoy 1922, but I didn't love it like I wanted to. 1922 gets a 7 out of 10 for me. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 remake. I've always loved this film. I think it's one of the best remakes ever. I love the grimy feel of it. I love the cast. I love the actors. You got Jessica Biel looking fine as a motherfucker in the movie. Jonathan Tucker does a great job because he plays a weasel. He plays kind of a weak guy. One of the better performances. But R. Lee Ermey steals the fucking show every time. R. Lee Ermey's performance as Sheriff Hoyt in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, and 2 of them, in this one and in the beginning. Such an incredible, phenomenal performance. I can't praise it enough. Without R. Lee Ermey in the film, it would not have been as great, and I'm adamant, I stand on that. Every time I rewatch this film, it never loses steam for me. It always holds up every watch. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 remake, I give a 9 out of 10. I really love this movie. I think it's dope and well made. Side note, the special features on the DVD contain a documentary where psychologists and all these killer analysis guys talk about Ed Gein, and they talk about the connection between him and Leatherface. And that documentary used to give me nightmares as a kid. I always thought it was super creepy and very, the detail of it is just horrifying, if not scarier than the film. This one's a little bit different. Back on Death Row, a short film by Snoop Dogg. I like how they did certain things with this short film. I like the tie-ins with younger Snoop and older Snoop leading to him now. I like the old footage with all the Death Row artists and him talking about Nate. I like how the whole short film was all his music videos from his new album all tied up to make a story for this film. There's glimpses of great camera work, but overall, the camera work is not great. But I enjoyed it. You know, I smoked me a little something. I watched it. It's 40 minutes long. And I enjoyed the music and I enjoyed the story. I like the tie-in. Back on Death Row gets a 7.5 out of 10 for me. Granddaddy Daycare. I felt the same way about this film as I did with Going in Style. I felt like I was not supposed to love these movies as much as I should have, but Granddaddy Daycare is awesome. And I love Danny Trejo in this film. I thought Danny Trejo did a great job. He was funny. He was a tough grandpa, but I like how they did the Alzheimer's or the memory loss that he was going through. I thought those sequences were pretty cool. Overall, I give Granddaddy Daycare an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Silent Hills PT, the gameplay. I played the teaser when it came out a couple years ago. I didn't get too far because I thought it was creepy. I'm a horror movie guy, but when it comes to playing horror games by myself and shit, I can't really do it because the atmosphere and it's you playing it, so you're like, oh shit, man, you know. I'm a chicken when it comes to that. So I watched the gameplay in its entirety for the first time, very first time. And I think it's very well done, man. There's some really creepy shit in this fucking game. The atmosphere is incredible. Like the developers, hats off, because the sounds, the footsteps, the swinging red lights, and the pictures, the way that the radio's talking to you and tricking your mind. Awesome. I think it's very well done. To anybody who's seen the gameplay or played the teaser, my only complaint is just the talking baby in the sink. The first time you see the baby in the sink, it's really creepy. You're like, you know, you feel sick. But the second time, it's borderline comedy. He's like, you got fired from your job. Like, that's the only complaint I have with PT. It's just that little moment, because I find it funny. It's like darkly funny, you know? But I'm giving Silent Hills PT an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's very well done. This one was a rewatch, but Belfast. This is my second time seeing it. I saw it for the first time in theaters last December, and I really love this movie. This was one of my favorite films of last year, at the very top, like top 5. Phenomenal cast, camera work is awesome. I love the black and white. There's one scene in the middle of the film where they're in the theater, and the way that color and black and white was blended together was some of the best camera work I've ever seen. I thought it was awesome. Judi Dench is awesome as the grandma. I loved her in this film. But to me, the stealing performance is Ciarán Hinds as the grandpa. One of the best grandpa performances I've ever seen in a movie. Just a really likable, lovable grandpa that you really relate to in the film. My only complaint is that I feel it drags just a tiny bit. It gets slow, kind of in the middle a little bit, but then it picks up again. Belfast gets a 9 out of 10 for me. I really love this movie. The very last film that I saw of February was Ready or Not, starring Samara Weaving. This one's been on my watch list since 2019. Never got to see it, always meant to, but I got to finally catch it. Samara Weaving was great in this film. I thought she sold the terror and the panic very well while she's going through this crazy fatal hide and seek game. Having said that, this film was a weird watch for me. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy it. I thought the humor was pretty dark and funny. The cinematography was great. When the gore shows up, it's nice. Some of the violent scenes are dope in here. But I did enjoy Ready or Not. I thought it was a good film. I'm going to give Ready or Not a 7.5 out of 10. And this concludes FRO's February Watches. Like and subscribe. Get your boy out there. All my fellow movie nerds, pass this joint along. And spread the word. Thank you very much. Until next time, look forward to some new FRO reviews. Looking forward to what movies I'll watch in March. So thank y'all very much. Peace, nigga. Bye.